Hi, everyone. This is Mark Spile from Cabbit Crossing over at cabbitcrossing.com. Back here again with another one of the authors of our anthology, Fairy Tales, Folklore, and Fables Reimagined. And I'm joined today with Demi. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Demi Michelle Schwartz. I am a YA fantasy and thriller author represented by Michelle Jackson at LCS Literary. I am also a freelance fiction editor through my independently run services, Amethyst Ink Editorial. On top of that, I am the host of Literary Blend, a publishing podcast. And when I'm not busy in the publishing industry, I'm also an award-winning songwriter and recording artist and the host of another show called Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. So in short, I do 1,000 things.
Awesome. This one of your 1,000 is your short story in this Kickstarter. Can you tease everybody about your short story?
Yeah, so my short story is called Dabria Shadows. It is an upper YA/new adult dark romantasy reimagining of Death's Messengers, which is a more obscure Brothers Grimm fairy tale. It is told from the point of view of Dabria, who is one of Death's reapers, and she is haunted by the passing of her former love 2,000 years ago because Death, the god of death, is punishing her for falling in love with a mortal. And the story starts when she is traveling through Alaska, setting souls free and allowing those who are suffering to pass on, when she slips on ice on a cliff and falls and gets stuck in snow. And when she is freed, she realized the one who rescued her is a man that looks exactly like her former love 2,000 years ago. And so she's very suspicious that the god of death is playing with her and punishing her further. But she gets extremely curious when she finds out he is immune to her shadows of death. And it gets super interesting from there. So I'm not going to spoil the story, but I will say that I love writing Dabria. She is very dark and twisted and vengeful, and I've never written a character like her before. And I also really love her shadows of death, who are basically her messengers. And they are basically manifestations of causes of death, and their names are in Latin. So you have Strangulus, which is the shadow of strangulation. Agonia is the shadow of agony, and on and on. And they're super fun. They have different personalities, and they speak to Dabria in her mind in Latin. So they're super fun to write. And above anything else, I hope you love the shadows because I loved writing them. So that's a little sneak peek of the story.
Awesome. So as you said, the story that it's inspired by is lesser known. So why that story? How did you come across that story, and why did it appeal to you?
So I've always loved the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, and for the anthology, I knew I wanted to do a more obscure one because there's certain ones that are super well known that are done a lot, and I wanted to think outside the box and do something different. And so I basically scrolled through most of them, if not all of them, and wanted to see what would catch my attention. And I saw this one, and it immediately jumped out at me because it's super short if you read the original. And I feel like because it's on the shorter side, it really gives a lot of room to do reimagining. And I've also always wanted to do something with a death character. And Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, there's the Tale of the Three Brothers, which is basically a death story. And since reading that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And there are a lot of stories of mythology and fairy tales with death-related characters, and so I was drawn to this one. And I also wanted to do something with shadows and shadow magic, and so it all just came together nicely.
So fairy tales, folklore, or fables, is there any stories that appealed to you as you were growing up as a kid?
Yeah, Fables. I mean, Tortoise and the Hare. That's a very popular one. And my parents read fairy tales to me, like as bedtime stories. Little Red Riding Hood is my favorite. I also loved Hansel and Gretel, Three Little Pigs. I'm gravitated more toward those, not necessarily the ones that became the Disney movies. I'm not really into the princessy ones. I like the darker stuff. But I love Little Red Riding Hood especially, and I wrote a YA fantasy that is a Little Red Riding Hood reimagining with Greek mythology, and that book is currently on submission. So I am all about the fairy tales, and I've loved them ever since I was a child.
Nice. All right, so we're doing a Kickstarter here for this anthology. And we have stretch goals, we have different reward tiers, and you've volunteered for a number of different bonus content. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so the first one is I'm going to be suggesting songs for the Spotify playlist, which is super on brand for me because I am a songwriter and an artist as well. So my passions are colliding with that. I'm also going to be doing the audio commentary where I'll share a little about the story and read a snippet from it. And I will be participating in the author chat, the Meet the Authors with the others in the anthology on a Zoom, I'm guessing, at some point. And the biggest thing is I'm giving 3 critiques of the first 3,000 words for a manuscript. So I'm super excited because I love editing and I'm excited to be able to give those edits to 3 authors who support the Kickstarter.
Awesome. Yeah, I tell you earlier, passionate about editing. We do little critique groups, like rounds with the different authors, and you do really good critique notes. So
Yeah, I've always enjoyed it. Ever since the MFA in Writing Public Fiction program at Seton Hall University, I've had such a passion for it, so I enjoy it.
awesome. All right. So, any other projects currently going on you want to let people know about?
I've been working on a lot of my manuscripts. My goal is to be traditionally published, so I've been working a lot on that. But in terms of other things in the book world, I will be featured in 2 upcoming anthologies by Wild Ink Publishing. The one is Cleo's Curious Dash Through Time, which is being published on August 5th. And another one is called Uncensored Ink, a banned book-inspired anthology, and that's coming out in October. So I'll be featured in both of those. And if you want to listen to my music, I'm on all the platforms. My display name, or my artist name rather, is Demi Michelle, and I have a new album coming out on August 23rd. So you can find my stories and anthologies and my music wherever you listen to music.
But where can they find you online? We have your main one up here, and then what was the other music one?
Yeah, so my website is demimschwartz.com, and everything is on there. You can find my author bios, my music, my social media links are on there. I run a blog that I update regularly. All my podcasts are on there, both of them. And anything you can possibly want to know about me is on demimschwartz.com. And if you want to connect with me on Twitter and Instagram, my handle is at demimschwartz, and my display name is Demi Michelle with the butterfly emoji.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, everybody. So be sure to check out her story and many of the other great stories in the anthology. You can find the Kickstarter over on Kickstarter or at cabbitcrossing.com. We'll have a link straight to it. And also, of course, if you happen to watch this video way after Kickstarter in July of 2024, you can still find those books later at cabbitcrossing.com. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us and chatting with everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.